Pac-12 just totally just shut down to the point where now they're left. What are they left with? Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State have nowhere to go because Arizona State, and Utah grabbed their bags, packed up, and got invited to the Big 12, which actually makes them better. It definitely makes them better. They're also going to join BYU and a handful of others so out of whack that even their conference, you thought the conference was geographically messed up when West Virginia took over, when West Virginia got in. Now you got Central Florida. You're trying your best to get, you just got Colorado, that which actually makes 1,000 times better sense to that. And now the Big 12 is a little bit of a powerhouse. So nobody knows what's going to happen on that end. So now you're left with a Pac-12 that is absolutely a mess. And if I was the Pac-12, in all reality, I would call the Mountain West Conference, which currently has 12 teams. Half of them are okay. Half of them actually compete as your mid-majors. And your big standout in the Mountain West is Boise State, which personally, in my opinion, should have gone to the Pac-12 a long time ago. They got a big enough stadium. It's their own brand, blue turf. And they were actually in the Big 5 bowl game a handful of years ago. They actually won a Fiesta Bowl, if you remember that game, against Oklahoma. But I'm looking, just peeking at my screen. The Mountain West could easily get, all 12 of those teams could get bought by the Pac-12 right now and actually have their own semi-big conference to hold for the West Coast. If I have to run this crap down, I'm actually eyeing half the teams on this. All of them might be good in basketball. Some of them are actually baseball powers. Some of them actually could be West Coast, other good sports. And Pac-12 football has been great, but it's deteriorated so much, that it's been majorly ran by either a USC, an Oregon with Nike in their backyard, Washington once in a while, Arizona had a small run, Colorado hasn't done crap, but they were better off when they were in the Big 12. The second Colorado went to the Pac-12, they were abysmal. Utah had better success than Colorado did. So I eyeball this: Air Force, Boise State, Colorado State, New Mexico, and New Mexico State. You get Wyoming, where Josh Allen came from. Then you get Fresno State, Hawaii, UNLV, and Nevada. You get San Diego State and San Jose State. I would love, if the Pac-12 wants to stay around and actually have some sort of a life, call the Mountain West and say, look, I've got these four here. Why don't we just merge? Do your stuff this year and next year. Let's just merge. We need to be a super conference. We're not going to be the Big Ten. We're not going to be the SEC. Let's add all our stuff together and let's just put it together. Let's just do it. That's what I do. That's what I do. Washington State, Oregon State, and they already said they still want to play the state rivals. They already said they're not losing the Big Apple game. They're not losing the Civil War games. They don't want to lose that. Stanford and Cal are like the ones that are so left out, and they're so high academic universities, but their sports have been hit and miss in the last decade and a half. So I think that would be a perfect thing for them to do. Well, it won't happen because the Mountain West has their own type of traditions and being such a mid-major type of a conference. Like, they're not the Big East, they're not Conference USA, but they're right up there. And it just shows that if you're such a team, if you're such a university that knows that you can legitimately, tackle Tackle a travel case. Know that you're okay. That if you're Oregon and you're okay flying out to Columbus to take on the Buckeyes in the Horseshoe, if you're Washington and you have no problem going to Michigan and battling that environment in Michigan Stadium, if you're USC, you already know you're going to be. You already know that any game you fly out, you're probably going to end up playing in the cold. You're going to play in snow. You're going to play in mud. You're going to play those hard Midwest, East Coast games like Wisconsin, like Illinois. Purdue sometimes has those areas, and even Iowa now is a very, very tough place to play. You now have to realize that the only other times USC and UCLA ever really go anywhere outside of California or anywhere outside of the West Coast, Midwest, is if they ever have to play a bowl game. Whether it's Miami, Georgia, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl. The only other times they ever did, and sometimes you'd have to go to some other place that they're not used to, like USC in the Villarmo Alamo Bowl or whatever it's called now. You're not used to that. They're not used to that. They know in the next couple of years with Lincoln Riley, they're going to be around. Now you're going to be in probably very arguably, not going to say the best conference, because SEC, now that you add Oklahoma and Texas, those two conferences will own college football. Basketball is going to be a different story. Any other sport is a different story. But college football is going to bring in the money, is going to bring in the bills, pay the bills, boost up the NIL. But does the women's volleyball team want to fly to Penn State and play in Rec Hall? I don't know about that. They're going to have to do it. Oregon's already talked about they're not happy about it. Oregon and all the other sports aren't happy about it. But it's Oregon football. And you get Nike in your backyard. Phil Knight doesn't care. He'll take that move and take that notion of business and knowing that this is the way it's going to go. And quite honestly, when I was younger, I'd be like, this is so dumb. Now it makes sense. It has nothing to do with politics and the inflation. It's just the way the business has gone. And trust me, about 5 to 10 years ago, people were even talking. This was going to happen. There was going to be super conferences. It was only going to be a matter of time. It had nothing to do with Maryland and Rutgers joining the Big Ten. That was only done just so they can add 2 teams. If I had it my way, Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten, and it shouldn't even be an argument. They're in Big Ten in hockey. They're the weirdest ones. They're independent in football. They're Big Ten in hockey. They're ACC in basketball. But it's Notre Dame. Someone will pick them up. They're already getting enough money because they made a big Under Armour extension. So whatever you want to make of the Big Ten and SEC and how everything has gone, like the Big 12 is an absolute crapshoot. Anybody could win the Big 12. I glance at this and I wish I had another screen, but I just look at this. It's so weird that it goes from UFC to West Virginia to Cincinnati, and then you start going west. And it's like a great big defensive front 7. Iowa State, a Kansas State, an Oklahoma State. Now you're going to add Houston, BYU, and now you're going to add Colorado, AZ State, and Utah. Big 12 actually don't even look that bad, to be quite honest with you. It's not the SEC, but it's pretty darn good. It's actually better than it was. Because at one point, the Big 12 had 10 teams. 10 teams and no conference championship. No playoff, actually. The top 2 teams played the Big 12 title game. That was it. That was your playoff in the Big 12. That was it. Everywhere else, it was your divisions, play, and your neutral site. Big 12, it was, all right, it's what, TCU and, I don't know, TCU and Kansas State. They have two best records in the conference. That was it. Let it go. Let them fly. Let them go. That was it. It's all a money grab. And I'm here for it. The college football playoff is going to expand to 12 teams. It's still going to be the same kind of outcome. There's always going to be Alabama. There's always going to be Clemson and a Georgia and an Ohio State. Maybe even a Notre Dame. Maybe a Penn State. Definitely Michigan. The normal teams that are supposed to be good, definitely going to be hanging around. Now you push out to the Big 12 and you now find yourself a new home. The way the world is going in college sports, the rich get richer. Your college sports will be fine. Everywhere's going to be fine. USC's basketball team is going to have LeBron James' son on it. You're not going to be mad. He's probably going to play 1 year. 9 chances out of 10, he's probably going to play 1 year anyway. But if he played another year after that, if we're Penn State and USC comes to town, Jordan Center gets filled to the rafter. We'll lose that game by about 10. But who cares? We get to see LeBron James' son in the Jordan Center. How fun would that be? I'd pay that ticket. So everywhere is getting the nice little run of chalk change because now it is by far not a political money grab. The Big Ten is getting bigger. The Big 12 got bigger. SEC still trying to get Florida State and still trying to get a Florida State and a Clemson, trying to dig them and try to pry those two out of the ACC. Folks, I'm all for this. And I know it's that time of year that we're closer to football than ever. I know I'm getting ready for hockey, but this time of the year, you get closer and closer and closer to college football. Just think what it is. Once we got older, we know things were going to change. Nobody expected it to be this bad, this crazy.